And we stay on COVID-19. You know that the president has announced the easing of some restrictions, including religious gatherings. And we know that schools are also affected. Final years, especially at the tertiary, secondary, and also the JHS level, will be heading back to school next week under some supervision and restrictions. Let's go to the phone lines now and speak to the president of NAGAT, Angel Kabonu. He joins us. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsdesk. First of all, let me take your reaction to the announcement made by the president yesterday.
Well, when you look at developments that preceded the announcement, there was a suspicion that the president was going to ease some of the restrictions.
Yeah. Hello, Mr. Kabonu, we seem to be losing you along the line. If you can just position yourself again. Well, we seem to have lost Mr. Kabonu on the line. Let's go to Zoom now. We are joined by the chairman of the Pentecostal and Charismatic Union, Professor Frimpong Manso, Reverend Professor Frimpong Manso. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on Newsdesk. Now, yesterday, the president announced that churches can resume some worship, except that you can do so with a limited congregation, 100, and within 1 hour. Are you able to do that? Hello, Prof. If you can hear me, thank you for joining us here on Newsdesk. I just want to find out from you what you make of the president's announcement that churches can resume some worship, however, with the limitations and restrictions of 100 congregation and up to an hour of worship. Well, apologies, there we seem to be having some challenges. We'll rectify that. But let's go into the phone lines. I think I have the president of NAGAT back on the line. Mr. Kabonu, thank you for joining us again. You were making the point about the indicators leading to the announcement yesterday, the events leading to the announcement yesterday, which sort of gave credence to your suspicion that this was going to happen.
Yes. What I'm saying is that when we met the COVID-19 team and met the other stakeholders, we indicated that certain fundamental conditions have to be present in the schools before we think of reopening the schools. For example, we talked about the training of teachers and other staff to be able to handle a COVID-19 situation, or to even identify and know how to handle the situation. We talked about the issue to do with the various Veronica buckets, sanitizers, protective clothing, and the conducive environment, and so on and so forth. As we speak, I do not know whether those things will be made available in the schools before the Form 3 comes.
Did all of this come up in your meeting with the Ghana Education Service? Yes. Okay.
We made those suggestions, and we indicated that before we talk about calling any student back to school, those things should be made available. Now that the announcement is made, I not understand the date that the students will be returning. Those items will be present in the schools.
Was it also your suggestion that only final years should be allowed back to school to finish the exam and wrap up the academic year for them?
When I listened to the president very well, I also heard that the Form 2 blue track are also supposed to be in school. And that was a little bit worrying to us, because then we are beginning to increase the numbers from only the final years to the blue track Form 2s. I would have expected that even we do not know how we were going to handle and deal with the final year students in relation to the COVID-19 situation. So why did we add for any group of Form 2 students to it, unless I did not hear well? If I heard well, then Form 2 blue are supposed to join the final years to be in school, and I'm very worried about that.
Could it be because they were the ones in session when the coronavirus broke out here, and perhaps the thinking is that they should finish up and be at par with their colleagues who are on the other track?
Whatever it is, we are not in normal time. Whatever it is, we are managing a situation, the solution of which you and I do not even know very well. Whatever it is, we are gambling with ourselves, with our lives and the lives of the children. So, because we are not in normal times, and it's an uncertain territory or terrain that we are getting ourselves into, we have to be very, very cautious when we expand the numbers, because even with the Form 3 students, we are not too sure how we're going to handle the numbers and whether even these attempts that we are making is going to be effective.
So you have up to the 15th, I think, to prepare. Have you started already? And are you teachers ready?
Well, for the teachers, the Ghanaian teacher is versatile, but the teacher, like any Ghanaian citizen, is apprehensive about the situation. The teacher is also scared about getting infected either through his own colleagues or through students or whoever he or she comes in contact with. So that teacher is apprehensive. That teacher is not going to get the normal classroom environment or the school environment to do his or her work, because we do not know what the outcome will be as we proceed. That is where the situation is as I speak to you.
Do you have an end in sight? And I'm talking about for those who have to wrap up the academic year, for instance. When is all of this going to end? And has WAEC indicated that it is going to administer the exam for us?
Well, you know, the West Africa Examination Council is a regional, sub-regional organization. So I think the situation in the other 5 countries will influence the decision of West Africa Examination Council. However, I do not know whether Ghana is going to request the council to organize a local examination for us, which is done anyway. However, you see, the accounts have a saying that I hope I said it right. This is not the time for us to be talking about end in sight, because we don't even know what. Look, after we talk, from what the president said yesterday, our infection rate has got to about 8,000.
That's
and I'm sure whilst you and I are talking today, the numbers are increasing. So it is not. And then there are examples of Korea where they all reopened schools. Then there was a second wave of infection. They had to close down schools. In France, they reopened schools. There was a wave of new infection. They had to close down schools, and so on and so forth. So it is not a certain territory that we are wading ourselves into. Again, what happens to parents who are not too sure that their children cannot be allowed to go to school at this time? We also have to make a case here for those parents to have the right to keep their kids safe at home, and to such a time that they are very sure that their kids will not be pushed to harm's way.
Mr. Kabun, I want you to hold the line for